Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
Welcome everybody to AEW Spark for August 15th, 2022, and I can't believe I'm actually doing this because you were pretty close to not getting an episode of AEW Spark. It was like this close, because I ended up going away over the weekend, and I left Friday, which would have been the same day Rampage aired, but I didn't end up getting back till like Sunday night, so I was thinking James was going to have to cover Spark for the week, or if I got back in time, he would have been my first ever guest on the show, but he ended up having something come up the last minute, so he wouldn't have been able to record Spoke. So, you pretty much would have gotten, like, an episode next week where I would have just combined the weeks, but luckily, I didn't end up having to work today, so it kind of worked out that you ended up getting a Spoke episode anyway, so I think that's pretty cool how that kind of worked out, because usually sometimes when it comes to things like that, it doesn't always work out that way, so I'm happy we got a Spark out there. I will be honest, my notes aren't going to be in order from some of them when the matches took place and things like that, because I was watching Spoke in the car when I was driving to Philadelphia, and I kind of just watched it on my phone, and I didn't feel like leaving, taking notes, and coming back just to mess everything up. So what I did was, for AEW Elevation and AEW Dark, I just went on AEW's Instagram page, wrote down all the matches by order of how they posted them there, and then when I watched Dynamite and Rampage, I just took the notes before the show happened of the matches I knew were coming, or that were going to happen, and then I watched the shows, and if there was something new that came on, I just kind of added it to the notes as I saw. So, yeah, you're not going to get the most organized notes for the week, but just be happy you're getting an AEW Spark. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to start off with AEW Dark Elevation episode 75. Pretty decent episode here. They had some good matches on it, and I think overall AEW's Elevation should be in order because they did post the matches in the order, but it's really tough to say. But yeah, I'm just going to read them, and whatever order they're in. So according to my notes, I think this was the first match that actually aired on AEW Elevation episode 75. Ruby Soho and Sky Blue wrestled Nikki Victory and Megan Myers. This was a pretty decent match here, actually. It was somewhat competitive. The heels got the heat on Sky Blue. But eventually, Ruby Soho and Sky Blue won when Ruby Soho hit the Blade Runner, which I still forget what she calls it, but it's the Blade Runner. And Sky Blue hit her finisher on both women at the same time for the win. Which obviously makes sense, Ruby Soho just can't seem to get off Dark or Elevation. That's just going to be, I think, what her position in the company is, unless they have, like, a challenger they need for the Women's Championship, whether it's the TBS or the actual Women's Championship, or maybe, like, a tournament finals or something, because that's pretty much what she's been doing on AEW. I think it kind of sucks. I'd recommend maybe putting in another set of, maybe like women's tag belts, and you can have her team up with somebody to go for them, but I don't really know if you need to be putting in any more titles right now to AEW. I think what we have is fine. We've already just had 2 championships introduced, so, yeah, I don't know what to really do there. But yeah, Ruby Soho and Sky Blue got the victory. Then Parker Boudreaux squashed Casey Carrington. It was an absolute squash match. Yeah, he looked really impressive here. And he just was dominant. There's really nothing left to say about it. Then, according to my notes, it was Kayla Hogan and Layla Gray versus Frera States and Alice Crowley. For Hera States and Alice Crowley started off aggressive in this match, but eventually Kayla Hogan and Layla Gray took over. They really weren't getting along because the whole thing is Layla Gray isn't really a baddie, so she's kind of like the mismatch of the group. But eventually they ended up getting the victory. I don't really remember how because I saw this match so long ago. I've done so many things since then and experienced so many things since then that it didn't really leave an impression on me. But I remember Kayla Hogan and Layla Gray won. Then John Silver and Alex Reynolds squashed TUG and Lord Crew. They looked like a pretty strong tag team there, so that's good. Then Athena faced Queen Aminata. This was a pretty entertaining match here. I think Queen Aminata looked really good. She's probably like one of my favorites that they bring back on occasion when they need somebody as like an enhancement talent. It's probably her, Baron Black, and even though they haven't brought him around in a while, I forget his name off the top of my head. Oh, it's the guy that's in Team Filthy now, but Danny Limelight. He was one of my other favorites that they would put in every now and then. But yeah, the biggest thing that came from this match, the biggest highlight is when Athena hit the run and drop kick into the guardrail onto Queen Aminata that got played over and over again as a GIF or GIF, whatever they call it. It really was impressive. Eventually, she won with the Eclipse, or whatever it's called nowadays. And yeah, this was a pretty fun match here. I thought Queen Aminata got some nice offense in this match as well. So yeah, good stuff here. Then we had the main event. This actually was the main event. It was Pretty Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth versus the Lucha Bros. This was the Lucha Bros' first tag match, I believe, in a while. Before the mixed tag, anyways. I don't really recall them having another one. And yeah, they looked. This match was pretty good here. It was really a showcase for the Lucha Bros. Pretty Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth didn't get much offense in this match, but you know that's basically what their role is. The Lucha Bros won with the elevated the tag team finisher, the double stomp into like the no fear, zero factor or whatever. Pento El Zero Miedo is back to doing that gimmick now. He's not Pento Oscuros anymore, which makes sense because there's really no reason for him to pull that gimmick out anymore. I do see him doing that again someday. I could see him doing that when, he's in like another feud that he needs to pull that out in. But that was AEW Elevation. I thought overall that was a solid show. I enjoyed Athena versus Queen Aminata, the Ruby Soho Sky Blue match, and I enjoyed the main event. I also enjoyed the Dark Order squash match too. I thought that was pretty good. And obviously Parker Boudreaux, seeing him be dominant, I always enjoy that. So overall, pretty good episode there. It did have some noteworthy stuff. And I believe on commentary for it was Shivani and Mark Henry. So that was the biggest thing I really probably didn't like about AEW Elevation was the commentary pair-up of Shivani and Mark Henry. Mark Henry's not the best on commentary, but when he's given like good people that he has chemistry with, like Mark Henry and not Mark Henry, like Paul White, he is much better. But Shivani and Henry, I just don't think have that chemistry that some people on AEW have had together. Then we have, and I believe too, one other thing I'll say about Elevation. I believe it was filmed the same day as Dynamite, not which would have been the episode where Jericho fought Willa Yuta in that match. So that's cool. Then we had AEW Dark episode 155. We had Excalibur and Taz on commentary. This was filmed outside of the studios. They did it on the same episodes where Battle of the Belts 3 and what's it called? Battle of the Belts 3 and AEW Rampage it was filmed on those episodes. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, my notes aren't going to be in order. I just did them in order of where the Instagram post ended. If I remember where the match took place, I'll tell you. This happens at some point in the show. We had because afterwards I forgot to mention Elevation. Andrade, Alito, and Rouge had a face-off with the Lucha Bros to set up to their Tornado Tag match. They got interviewed on this show, and Andrade, Alito, and Rouge by Tony Schiavone, and because on the AEW Dog, I forgot to mention too, you had Excalibur and Taz on commentary, and Andrade, Alito, and Rouge talked about how they have no respect for the masks in Lucha Libre, and they talked about how Rouge talked about how he's here to dominate everybody in AEW except for Andrade Alito, and they said that they're going to dominate AEW and become champions. So, really good interview there. I really enjoyed it. Then, I don't think this happened first. I don't exactly remember when this happened, but it was Evil Uno and 10 versus Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth. Pretty good match there. It's about what you expect these performers to pull out. I'm pretty sure they had a match before, and I'm pretty sure that match was better than this one, but Evil Uno and 10 won when Evil Uno hit the discus clothesline, and it actually wasn't Ryan Nemeth. It was Pretty Peter Avalon and JD Drake, I believe. So I don't know why I put Ryan Nemeth there. But it was a pretty good match there. Then Chris Statlander faced Saraya. It was a pretty basic match there. Chris Statlander hit a big boot, and I mentioned this because Chris Statlander ended up injuring her ACL again off of that move, which sucks. She was starting to kind of get into like a nice little storyline with, Jade and Athena for the TBS Women's Championship, and now she's had to be pulled from that storyline. Eventually, she ended up getting the win. I think she won with a finish, but it sucks that she is injured now because they were actually kind of starting to do something with her. Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose squashed Heather Reckless and Jocelyn Navarro. They had Vicky Guerrero inside. Afterwards, Vicky Guerrero came into the ring and talks about how she brought these two together. And she cuts this promo. I forget exactly what she said word for word. But she basically said that, Marina Shafir was the problem because nobody could solve her. And it was basically kind of like what she actually is in the company, where like they try to get where she gets in the ring and just isn't very good. So it was kind of like that. There was a spot in the match where I think it was after the match where Marina Shafir threw one of the women, so they attacked him further. And I think Marina Shafir thought she was supposed to do like an arm lock or something, but Nyla Rose had to kind of put a stop to that, and she ended up hitting just a powerbomb. So yeah, not the best showing for Marina Shafir. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to finally just pull her from the ring, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon now, so that sucks. This was the main event on AEW Doc. It was Anthony Henry with JD Drake versus Orange Cassidy. This could have just been Excalibur and Taz just joking around and stuff, but they actually explained kind of like the relationship that JD Drake and Anthony Henry have to the Windmen. Again, I don't know if it's really canon or not, where they mentioned how basically Anthony Henry and JD Drake is just a sub-tag team for the Windmen, which I think is kind of cool. It doesn't really make sense, but I like that they at least tried to explain it. But like I said before, I think they should just abandon that altogether, pull JD Drake from the Windmen, and have him just team up with Anthony Henry as the Workhorseman. I think that's just going to do everybody all types of favors. I think you can get some killer tag matches, and if you want to keep the women for the trios division, you could just have Cesar Bononi, Peter Avalon, and Ryan Nemeth fill the trios, because I get the whole thing where it's supposed to be kind of a joke where J.D. Drake is kind of the oddball of the group, but I just think it's better off him being a tag team with Anthony Henry. I still think if they sign Tiger Ruas, they should also pull Cesar Bononi, and they should be like a dominant tag team in the group, but not in the group, but you know. I guess if we're getting both, I like the subgroup thing could be interesting. Then we had a trios match, and this was actually probably the most noteworthy thing on Jaw, considering the fact that it set what came at the main event of Rampage. It was the Trustbusters versus Sonny Kiss, Zach Clayton, and Xavier Walker. And the Trustbusters dominated. However, Sonny Kiss never got tagged in. And I was wondering how are they going to explain this here. Eventually, Parker Boudreaux hit his one-handed side slam onto Xavier Walker, and got the pin. And Sonny Kiss didn't go break up the pinfall. He / whatever Sonny Kiss wants to be called, just stood there and watched and didn't look very impressed. And afterwards, Ali Davao offered Sonny Kiss a position in the Trustbusters, saying that he could do wonders for Sonny Kiss's career. And it's very interesting there. I'm wondering what they're gonna do with that now. Well, I mean, obviously I know, but I don't want to give too much away right now. But it was a nice angle that they did. I didn't think they were gonna do anything with it right away, but it was something I noticed. This isn't next in my notes, but it's before the next match that I'm going to talk about. Private Party, The Butcher, and the Blade squashed Isaiah Broner, James Alexander, Brian Lee, and Sam Moore. Pretty good squash here. I like Private Party, The Butcher, and the Blade squash matches together. I think they have pretty good chemistry when they do that, so that's good. Then Rohit Raju and Ren Jones got squashed by the Best Friends, who had Danhausen ringside with the Best Friends. Rohit Raju got some more offense, but it was really a squash. They beat Ren Jones, and then afterwards, Danhausen cursed Rohit Raju, but then just laid him out with a low blow. I really wasn't the biggest fan of this. I get it was a squash, but I think Rohit Raju should just be signed and having killer matches, even if it's every week. I don't understand why Rohit Raju is being used this way. I don't know why he hasn't been signed. Like, you can easily put on one of his matches at Impact and you instantly be impressed. I like Ali Davao and all and everything, but I think he deserves more of a showcase than he does. He's really talented, and he was like one of my favorite in the X Division when he was on showcase on the X Division. So I wish they would sign Rohit Raju, because I don't, it kind of, he left Impact. He was in a pretty decent spot at Impact, where he was at least being showcased, and now it's like I don't even know what's going on here. Then Anna J. A.S. squashed Megan Myers. She did a really cool thing where where her opponent was bouncing off the ropes, and she ducked it and turned it into the Queen Slayer, which was cool. And they immediately tapped out Megan Myers, so that was cool stuff. And then this wasn't the main event, but it's like the last thing on my notes, really. It's probably the biggest match that took place on AEW Doc. We had Ruby Soho, Athena, and Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb, Leva Bates, and Emi Sakura. interesting match here. This is one thing I do like about Dark, where you get to kind of see people team up and see people face off that you really wouldn't see on like a Dynamite or Rampage. And I think this was kind of one of those instances. The heels got the heat for a while on Ruby Soho. Then eventually Athena got the hot tag, and eventually everyone just kind of started hitting all their moves on each other, and it ended with Leva Bates going for a book, but the referee caught her, and it allowed. Actually, she went to hit Hikaru Shida. She blocked it with the kendo stick, and eventually she hit the Falcon Arrow into the katana, and pinned Leva Bates, which made sense that Leva Bates took the pin because she's the one that's being showcased the least out of all these women. I'm pretty sure this is like one of Leva Bates' first matches this year. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And that was Dark. I enjoyed Dark. I enjoyed the commentary. I enjoyed some of the matches that took place on the show. I enjoyed, most of the squashes. And I always enjoy when AEW Dark goes into a different venue because it just feels different. The commentary feels more natural because they're actually there. Because obviously now recently on Dark, I think they've been pre-recording they record all the episodes, and then Taz and Excalibur, I think like the day before, the next day, in like the morning, will film the commentary on it and piece it together. I mainly say that I think it is that day because they'll mention things that happen on Elevation and stuff. So good episode of Dark here though. I liked it. Then we had Dynamite, which was the Quake at the Lake episode. For commentary, for like the first hour, you had Excalibur, Taz, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone actually. And then the second hour, Schiavone wasn't on commentary for. I thought that was kind of interesting how they did that. Typically, I don't like four-man moods on commentary, but I thought that, Excalibur, Taz, Jim Ross, and Schiavone all actually brought something to the table. Everybody at least got to get a word in and stuff, so I thought that was cool. So, let's talk about AEW Quake at the Lake. This is probably not one of my favorite specials they've done this year, but it's still a really good one. The opener and the main event definitely delivered. The opener was the coffin match between Darby Allin and Brody King. Darby Allin immediately attacked Brody King. He jumped off the top turnbuckle and attacked Brody King with the skateboard. He really started laying the waste in him. He hit him off the head with the skateboard, and it was revealed that on the bottom of the skateboard was thumbtacks, so it busted open Brody King. Eventually, Brody King destroyed the skateboard, broke it over the steel steps and stuff. But Darby Allin continued to attack him. He hit a missile dropkick, setting Darby Allin into the guardrail. He threw him into the guardrail. Brody King started using his power on the Darby Allin. And one thing that was cool about that I got from Dynamite and Rampage, so I couldn't watch the shows live because for obvious reasons. And I couldn't watch it on Xfinity because I usually record it and watch it on the Xfinity app and stuff. Well, not the app, but like the website. But because I didn't have access to it, let's just say I didn't have the most illegal means to watch AEW this week. So when they did picture-in-picture, I think I got like the Fight TV feed. So I actually got to kind of hear the commentary and like see it all in continuation, which was cool. So Brody King dominated Darby Allin. He set up a table on the outside and he went to splash Darby Allin through the table, but he moved. Eventually, when Darby Allin went for a suicide dive on the outside, the lights went out and Buddy Matthews, it was Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, and Julia Hart were all outside. Julia Hart was standing by the coffin, and they attacked Darby Allin. Buddy Matthews laid him out with the Matthews Law, Brody King put him through the table. He just speared him right through it. And eventually they went to put Darby Allin in the coffin, and the coffin had been open, but this time it was closed when the lights came back on. And Stin emerged from the coffin, attacked Buddy Matthews, laid him out with the Scorpion Death Drop, and one little key thing I noticed that I liked was Stin had like a black mark on his eye from when he'd been misted by Malachi Black a few weeks ago, which was cool. And Malachi Black and Stin had a face-off. They challenged each other to make a move, but nobody really did. So eventually, Brody King and Darby Allin faced off, and Darby Allin locked Brody King into a sleeper hold, similar to what Brody King did to him on Dynamite and like the Royal Rampage a few weeks ago. But he had the chain, the necklace of Brody King that he wears to the ring, and he dropped him. He fell into the coffin like closed, and Darby Allin won. I really liked that finish. It was something different that I've never seen before, and it was a way to protect Brody King in defeat, because even though it's a coffin match, it probably would have protected him anyways. Darby Allin really didn't defeat Brody King. It was more his momentum that defeated, and his power, his size that defeated Brody King. So, I really like the finish. I'm really not sure if this is going to be the end of this Darby Allin, Stin, House of Black feud. I could see them maybe extending it, because they still are teasing that Stin and Malachi Black are going to have some type of face-off. So, we'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed the coffin match. I thought it was a hell of a match. Wasn't my favorite match of the night or anything, but it was probably my second favorite match of the night. Then we had the Lucha Bros versus Andrade, Ali Davao, and Roosh in the Tornado Tag Team match. I don't think this was necessarily next or anything, but I remember it was like the next match on the show. Yeah, this was a pretty enjoyable Tornado Tag match. The thing about this match was they had it. They didn't do anything crazy in the beginning, because I think the fans had just saw like a coffin match, so they kind of built up to the craziness. But eventually, everyone decided hitting move after move on each other. Eventually, Andrade El Idolo and Roosh tied Penta El Zero Miedo's mask to the ropes, and he had to make a choice whether he wanted to unmask to untie himself pretty much, or just watch Ray Phoenix take a loss, and he chose the latter. Well, he chose the former anyways, and eventually he got laid out. They unmasked him, and they laid out Ray Phoenix with the Hammerlock DDT, Andrade El Idolo, and he won. This made sense, and I'll talk about it more in a second, because Andrade El Idolo, Roosh, and Dragon Lee, Roosh's brother, are going to be in the tournament. They're facing the Young Bucks and a mystery partner next week. So they kind of needed to get momentum for that match, and I think this is the best way to go about it. And I think this protected the Lucha Bros in defeat because of the whole mask thing. I do gotta say, I think I'm kind of sick of seeing the Lucha Bros mask getting removed. It happens a lot in AEW. I am gonna kind of give it a little bit of a pass here, because this did fit the storyline, but it feels like that they do kind of go to this a lot. So that's that. But yeah, then they announced the Trios tournament. They announced the brackets for it. I'm going to look it up real quick, so that way I can get it right. I like the bracket. Some of the matches that are happening in it I didn't expect. We're going to have Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. That's an interesting match. I've always wanted to see Pac and Will Ospreay go at it. I'm So I'm interested to see how that happens. Aussie Open, I could kind of take or leave being in this tournament. I suppose it's better than the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb, I guess. But I think that would be a hell of a match there. I think that's going to really deliver. We're going to have Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee and Roosh versus the Young Bucks and a mystery partner, which we'll talk about in a second. I think that's going to be the first match of the tournament in general, so that's going to be cool. Then we have House of Black versus the Dark Order. I'm interested to see how that match works out, considering the fact that both teams are kind of like a dog gimmick. So I'm interested to see how they kind of work through that. And then we're going to have the Trustbusters versus Best Friends, and I'll talk about that some more in a bit. At the end, when we finish reviewing Rampage, I'll do some bracketology for the Trios tournament and kind of see what happens. But yeah, then the Young Bucks were backstage. I think this actually took place before the Tornado Tag match, but I figured I'd talk about it here. So I remember when the Tornado Tag match happened, we had known the brackets for the Trios tournament, which I think they probably could have reversed that, because it would have made maybe that Tornado Tag match may seem a little bit more unpredictable, but whatever. But yeah, we had the Young Bucks backstage segments. It was filmed by Brandon Cutler, and they went up to Heyman, Adam Page, and the Dark Order, and this was kind of like everything that we wanted to see the Young Bucks say to Heyman, Adam Page, where they asked him to be his tag team partner, in the Trios tournament, and they basically apologized to Heyman, Adam Page for the way they treated him while he was in the Elite, and talked about how proud of him he was that he was able to win the AEW World Championship, and how they wish they could have really been there for this journey instead of being a hindrance. And they said that when they looked at him, they were proud of him. They proved that he wasn't just a member of the Elite, he was like the Elite, and it was really good stuff. And they asked him to be his partner, and Heyman, Adam Page said that he appreciates everything that they said, but he talked about how the Dark Order have been backing him during this whole journey, and he wants to do the same for them, where he backs the Dark Order. So he denies and says he's going to be in their corner, but yeah, that was basically that. I think he said he wishes them luck in the tournament and stuff. So they walk away, and Brandon Cutler says, "Does that mean I'm going to be your partner?" And they just tell him to shut up. So I kind of like this, because the Young Bucks are still baby faces, but they kind of kept the gimmick where they tell Brandon to shut up, so they're kind of not, their characters haven't completely changed. And that's going to be interesting right there. And the Young Bucks, we still don't know who the partner is going to be at the next episode, but I will talk about that some more when I do my predictions for this upcoming weeks of AEW. Next, the Gun Club got interviewed, and Billy Gunn was upset with Austin and Colton Gunn for losing the dumpster match, a match that he made famous and being an embarrassment to the family. And Danhausen came up and called them ass boys, and basically challenged them to a tag match on a Rampage. And he says that he has a tag team partner in mind. And then he walked away. Billy was upset. Stokely Hathaway came up and offered them a business card, but Billy basically threatened to beat the crap out of him and ripped up the business card. So, interesting stuff that took place there. Then we had Luchasaurus squash Anthony Henry, complete squash. Jungle Boy was on commentary for this, and Christian Cage was up on the screen, and pretty much taunted Jungle Boy. He went backstage, and he went to attack Christian Cage, and Christian Cage took off. As Jungle Boy was being held by security, Luchasaurus attacked the security, but he ended up headbutting Pat Buck, who was like an official at AEW, and they said that could be like a fine or something. So, interesting how they went about that. I wonder if this is gonna write Luchasaurus off for a bit, so that way Christian Cage can get Jungle Boy one-on-one. And then All Out, we'll get Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy, and we'll see Luchasaurus make some type of appearance. Because I still don't know where Luchasaurus lies with whose side he's on, because they haven't really made that clear yet. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Because he's still coming out as the heel that he was when he was with Christian Cage those few weeks that Jungle Boy was away. So I'm kind of excited. Then Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm got interviewed, and Tony Storm, they made an announcement that Chris Statlander is now injured. So Tony Storm's like the number one ranked in the women's rankings in the tournament of the women's rankings. And Thunder Rosa says that she'll be more than happy to defend the title against Tony Storm, but she wants her to earn it rather than get it based off somebody being injured. So Tony Storm says that I'm gonna earn it next week. So I don't know if this is like kind of teasing a heel turn for Tony Storm, but it would be interesting to see what they do here. So yeah. Because, Thunder Rosa didn't give her the opportunity, and she's always said that she'll be a fighting champion, and she kind of was a bit of a hypocrite here. So I wonder if they're going to turn Tony Storm heel, because when she turned heel in NXT and stuff, she was really interesting, so I'm interested to see if that's going to happen. Then Jay Lethal did a promo, and they bragged about how they laid out Wardlow on Battle of the Belts 3, and Jay Lethal gave Wardlow a choice. He either puts the TNT title on the line against him again, or they'll come backstage and beat him up and take it from themselves. And Wardlow came out and accepted, but wanted to kick their ass right now, but it was a 3-on-1 disadvantage. However, FTR came out and chased off Wardlow, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. So, I thought that was really cool to see kind of like the pinnacle we form in a sense. And I could see something happening where we get maybe a 6-man tag to kind of build up to the TNT title match, and then we'll get Wardlow versus Jay Lethal. I do kind of want to see Wardlow versus Satnam Singh, but I just don't think Satnam Singh's really ready for that yet. He has been making some progression, but I just don't think that Satnam Singh is ready to be in a one-on-one capacity yet. And I don't really think that's going to play into Wardlow's strengths either, because Satnam Singh can't really bump around for him. We have seen Wardlow take on big athletes like W. Morrissey and Lance Archer, but that's just TBD to see if Wardlow can get something out of Satnam Singh, because he doesn't have the experience yet. And Wardlow, I don't know, has the experience to really carry a match right now. So, we'll see. I think the best bet is Jay Lethal versus Wardlow. And I could see something happening where they make the match either like no DQ or, it's Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt are banned from ringside, or something like that. Then we had Ricky Starks versus Aaron Solo. Before the match, the Factory came up to Powerhouse Hobbs backstage and basically said that they're going to take care of Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs told him not to make their problem, not to make him their problem also. And we had the match. The biggest disappointment was Ricky Starks really didn't get much of a reaction when he came out. They got into him a little bit more, but I was kind of hoping with the pop he got when I was there live, he was going to get like a big pop when he came out as a babyface, but that really didn't happen here. Ricky Starks, it wasn't a complete squash, but it wasn't a 50-50 match. It was more like 70-30. And Ricky Starks won with a spear. Afterwards, Nick Camarado and Cole Caldo tried to come out and lay out Ricky Starks, but he escaped through the crowd. And this pissed off Powerhouse Hobbs backstage, and he took the monitor and smashed it to the floor. And that was pretty much that. I remember they did like another interview later, and I believe it was with Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa. And they tried to make it seem like they rebuilt the set and stuff, but I think it was mainly just like a pre-tape segment. I'm pretty sure. Um, but yeah, I like this. As this kind of furthered the Ricky Starks Powerhouse Hobbs feud, um, and stuff. So that was good. Then Miro did a promo backstage, and it was more of the same stuff where he questioned whether he should join the House of Black. And Julia Hart came up and said that the House of Black sees something in you, and she kind of touched his face and stuff, his cheeks. And Miro told her that only one woman can do that, referencing CJ Perry, which I'm wondering if she's going to make an appearance at some point in AEW. And Miro says that he's going to use this anger towards the House of Black. But he really wasn't clear if he meant with them or against them. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there. They need to start doing something with Miro soon because he just recently sent out a tweet saying that he had it better in WWE. And I kind of agree with him, to be honest. I know there's instances where Miro could have been pushed better in WWE, but there's things that I think AEW's kind of missed the boat with Miro a little bit. I think some of it was Miro came in at a bad time because they had people who they wanted to be pushed instantly to the main event because they were still doing the Elite feud. They wanted to get the belt on Paige, and then CM Punk came in. They had to put the belt on him. I mean, some of it he's also been injured throughout much of his run, but I think they've kind of miscast Miro a little bit. They haven't utilized him, I think, the way they could have. Is what I'm trying to say. Then we had the TBS Women's Championship match. It was Jade Cargill defending against Madison Rayne. Yeah, this match was not the best match. It had its moments, but I think it kind of lost its way a little bit. I was kind of questioning how good this match was going to be, just because Jade Cargill's not the best worker, and Madison Rayne can be good, but I don't think really in a position where she can carry a match, which is kind of concerning considering the fact that she's like the coach of the women's division, and this match here kind of worries me about that now. Considering the fact that she's meant to be the coach, and she couldn't really carry Jade Cargill through a match. She might have had Jade Cargill's one of the worst matches, to be honest. And I don't really. This really wasn't Jade Cargill's all Jade Cargill. I think Madison Rayne didn't really get the best out of Jade Cargill she could have, because I've seen Jade Cargill have better matches with Anna Jay, Ruby Soho, and Thunder Rosa and stuff. And this is really concerning here, considering the fact that Madison Rayne's like the coach of the women's division, and she kind of didn't get the best match out of Jade Cargill, and that's kind of what her job's supposed to be a little bit. Jade Cargill won with the Jaded, but yeah, not the best match here. And then afterwards, Athena attacked Jade Cargill, and she was kind of saved by the baddies, but she was able to fight them off. And yeah, I'm kind of interested now, because the good thing about the Chris Statlander injury is now that Athena's going to have to really fight from underneath to take out the baddies and Jade Cargill. So that's going to be kind of an interesting storyline element now. I would kind of like to see something where Athena gets some help from maybe Madison Rayne and somebody else. They do some type of 6-woman tag, and they pin, and if they win, Athena gets a future title match and stuff. Because I think Athena's probably going to be the person that takes the TBS Women's Championship from Jade Cargill, which I kind of think the TBS Women's Championship needs, because I get why they put the belt a little bit onto Jade Cargill, but I also kind of don't get it, because I don't know if that was the best decision for the TBS Women's Championship, because there's been some stinker matches in there. The biggest, I actually, I do take that back. I did say this was probably the worst match that Jade Cargill's had. I did forget that she did defend the title not that long ago against Marina Shafir, and that was really bad. So we'll see. I do think that Jade Cargill's at least going to get to like 40-0 or something. I don't really see her losing at like 36-1 or something. I think she's going to get to like 40-0, but we'll see. Then we had the main event of Quake at the Lake. It was Jon Moxley defending his interim AEW World Championship against Lionheart Chris Jericho. And throughout the night, they did promo segments with Moxley and Jericho, where Moxley did a promo talking about how he wants to see the best of Chris Jericho. He wants to see Lionheart Chris Jericho so he can put him down. Chris Jericho did a promo talking about how this is the most dangerous version of himself because it's he was the guy that was the last graduate in Stu Hart's dungeon, and he was a crazy man. And then the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society, 2.0 and Anna Jay did a promo rooting for Chris Jericho, and Anna Jay choked somebody out backstage. So it all set up to this match, and I thought it was a hell of a match. I am seeing that Jon Moxley's getting some hate now, and I just think it's because he's doing really well. It's the thing where the fan base just turns on somebody when they want them pushed, and then they get pushed and they're sick of them. I still really enjoy Jon Moxley. I just don't really get the fan bases sometimes. They did the same thing with Adam Page doing his title reign. They did the same thing to Kofi Kingston doing his title reign. Granted, that title reign wasn't the best. It's just another example. And they did the same thing to I think Big E when he won the WWE Championship. So I'm really not going to take that seriously. I still really enjoy Jon Moxley. He's been like my favorite wrestler this year. He's just gone out there and had killer matches with Brody King, Mace Warner, Jericho, Roosh. He's just really been the wrestler of the year this year. His promos have been awesome. His matches have really delivered. And honestly, he might be my favorite wrestler all year. He's been that good. I think this has been like the run of his career. And I think this is a good thing because he went out. This kind of validates him getting clean. He's been able to go out there now and have this killer run. He's been really showcasing himself. He's had my favorite match, one of my favorite matches this year when he faced Willa Yuta when I went to AEW Live a few weeks ago. Well, a few months ago now at this point. So I've enjoyed Jon Moxley's run. And this match between him and Jericho was probably not as good as the first match they had when Moxley won the title the first time. But it's definitely like a hell of a match. I like that it was different than the first match. You know, it was more of a technical match than the first match where it was kind of a brawl. And yeah, like Jericho ripped the earring out of Jon Moxley and really busted him open. And I think that's really the complaint is they're sick of Jon Moxley being busted open every match. I guess I can kind of get that a little bit to an extent, but let's be real. I didn't really see anyone complain when Triple H and Ric Flair were getting busted open in every match. Not many people really complain about that when they go back and watch their matches. Because if you watch their matches, they bled a lot. And I mean a lot in their matches. But yeah, Jericho dominated the beginning portions of the match. And then Moxley mounted a comeback. And they just had this really good back and forth sequence. There's a bit where Jericho gets the walls of Jericho onto Moxley, and he's just in this hold for like 5 minutes. I believe it was during the whole ad break. So it was really good stuff. Eventually, Moxley, though, hit several paradigm shifts, busted open Jericho, and he choked him out with the Bulldog choke. And William Regal, by the way, too, was on commentary for this. And Moxley retained the interim AEW World Championship. Afterwards, 2.0, Daniel Garcia, and I think came out and attacked Moxley. But then Santana, Eddie Kingston, and somebody else came out to make even out the odds. and eventually CM Punk returned when the numbers were more in the Jericho Appreciation Society's favor, and attacked the heels and laid them out. Afterwards, he had a face-off with Jon Moxley, because now we know we have to get that title unification match at some point, and Moxley flipped him off and left. And some fans were saying they really didn't make that clear that CM Punk was the world champion, which doesn't make sense at all, considering the fact that Excalibur was clearly saying that he's the world champion. They had to do this unification match. And yeah, it was a hell of a moment. CM Punk returning. He looked really good. He looked kind of like Rick Grimes before Season 9 of The Walking Dead. But he's a big Walking Dead fan. Maybe not now, but he was at one point. So that's cool. He's such a big fan. The first appearance he did after he walked out of wrestling in 2014 was a Talking Dead appearance. So that's interesting how that happened. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see CM Punk back now. I'm excited to see Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. We haven't seen them face off since CM Punk left WWE. I remember they had a couple matches together. This is even before Jon Moxley broke away from the Shield and everything. And this is when CM Punk was kind of in his I'm not really interested phase. So it'll be kind of interesting now that they're kind of both at like the top level of their careers and stuff like that. So I really don't know who I want to be the champion coming out of it, because it probably makes sense to go with Punk because he really hasn't had that title reign that he should have had. But I kind of want to see them go with Moxley, especially if they bring back MJF. I think Moxley's the guy to go with, because Moxley's been the guy that has been kind of like the spirit, the heart and soul to me of AEW a little bit recently. And MJF just recently did a promo crapping all over AEW and stuff. So I kind of want to see something happen there, where they do Moxley versus MJF, and MJF beats Mox for the belt. Because I think, had CM Punk been around, I would say CM Punk should be the champion. And it would really suck for Punk, but I think I really want to see them go with Moxley as the real world champion. But we'll see. That was Quake by the Lake. I thought it was a really good show. I don't think it's one of my favorite specials. I remember there was a stretch that wasn't the best, like Ricky Starks versus Aaron Solo. Wasn't what I thought it would be. The TBS Women's Championship match was a bit of a disappointment and stuff, but I still enjoyed it overall. I really enjoyed the Tornado Tag. I enjoyed the announcement of the Trios Tournament and the way they kind of furthered the Elite feud. And I enjoyed the Coffin match. I enjoyed the Interim World Title match and stuff. So, yeah, really good AEW Dynamite Quake by the Lake special. Going through Rampage, and I gotta be honest, not my favorite episode of Rampage. This was Rampage Quake at the Lake, and it could have been because I was tired from the big weekend I had, but this was just not the best episode of Rampage. It might just be me, but you could pretty much just watch the Bryan Danielson promo and probably just shut off the rest of this show. Really nothing worth watching. Even though the big thing that does happen at the end is a pretty big deal, but you could probably just go find that online somewhere. So yeah, Bryan Danielson did his promo, and this is probably the most that the crowd's into the show. And it's probably the best thing on the show. He comes out, he gets asked if he's really 100% and if he's contemplating retirement, and Bryan Danielson says that since he's been in the professional wrestling business, he hasn't been 100%, and he says that he won't ever retire willingly. He's going to have to be forced to retire. And he calls out Daniel Garcia because they're scheduled to have a 2 out of 3 falls match on AEW this week. And Daniel Garcia says that he Bryan Danielson at one point was his hero, but he hates himself for having to end Bryan Danielson's career. And he says that the more Bryan Danielson comes back, the more he wants to beat him up because he hates it. He hates himself, and he says that he's going to prove that he's the best sports entertainer. Bryan Danielson says he doesn't want to deal with that sports entertainment crap. He wants to see the Daniel Garcia that went an hour in the front of 250 people, and he wants to see that Dragon Slayer that he supposedly is calling himself. And he says that he wants to see that on AEW this week, or else he'll put him down. Really good promo here. I really loved the chemistry that Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson had, and I really can't wait to see their 2 out of 3 falls match this week. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is the first 2 out of 3 falls match that is going to be done in AEW. I really don't think they've done one yet. I know they've done an Iron Man match, but I don't think they've done 2 out of 3 falls. Unless they've done like a tag match that I don't know about, but I'm pretty sure that they haven't done 2 out of 3 falls. So it would be really cool. I think they picked the best 2 wrestlers to do the first 2 out of 3 falls match, if that's the case. So, but yeah, pretty much from this point, you could probably just skip this show. I think the crowd was burnt. The crowd really didn't react to much on this show. I think the biggest thing they reacted to was Orange Cassidy and maybe Hook, but that's really about it. They really just did not care on this show. It kicked off with the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championship match. It was Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello defending against Sky Blue and Dante Martin. This was a pretty good match here. This was in Dante Martin's hometown, but yeah, not the best match. I feel like some of it's because Ty Mello hasn't wrestled in a while. I don't even remember the last time she's had a match. I'm pretty sure it was Double or Nothing. And you can just see that she was kind of rusty in this match. Sky Blue, too. I wondered if this was too much of a spotlight for her this fast. And half of it was because the woman did most of the wrestling in the match. So that you could really see that Ty Mello, she was really rusty. And you could tell she hasn't done this in a while. Dante Martin did some good stuff from this match, and like I said, the crowd really just weren't interested. I think the Jericho because I think this took place on the same episode as Quake at the Lake, the Dynamite one, so they just seemed like Jericho and Moxley just have this killer match with each other, and I think the crowd really didn't wake up after the Bryan Danielson promo. I think they tried to put that Bryan Danielson promo to kind of cool the crowd down, and it failed miserably because I think people hadn't seen a whole lot of Bryan Danielson lately. So, Ty Mello. I'm so used to telling her Ty Conti. It's gonna take. I don't think she's gonna be Ty Conti anymore, so it's gonna take some getting used to. Ty Mello hit a super kick followed by the goalie special into the knee to the head onto Sky Blue for the win. But yeah, good. It was a good match, but yeah, you could just definitely tell Ty Mello was very rusty. Then we had the Gun Club versus Bearhausen. I'm sorry, not Bearhausen. Beardhausen. It was cool to see Eric Redbeard back. It was pretty much a basic tag match you probably would see like on Elevation or something like that. But it was still good nonetheless. They got the heat on Danhausen for a while, and then eventually Eric Redbeard made the hot tag and started going off, and then he tagged in Danhausen, and he went to finish him off, but I believe when Eric Redbeard went to bounce off the ropes, Billy pulled the ropes down, and he fell outside the ring, and it allowed the Gun Club to hit their tag finisher for the win. Billy wasn't very happy about this. He wanted to see more from his sons, So he's going to prepare another match for them on Dynamite. And afterwards, you saw Stokely Hathaway in the crowd, and he ended up handing them the business cards again, and I think they ended up taking it. So I'm wondering if they're going to turn on their father, which would be interesting because I don't. But we'll have to wait and see. I do like the idea that like Stokely Hathaway is trying to build up all these clients, like he's done it with Ethan Page, and now he's doing it with Lee Moriarty, and he has Jade Cargill, so he's basically the manager from like the '80s who just has all these clients and stuff like that. Then on this show we had a promo from Hook. He talked about winning the FTW title. He didn't really say all that much, and then he was interrupted by Zach Clayton, and he challenged him for the FTW championship, but he said he's going to do it on his time, and he challenges him to a match next week on Rampage. So Hook's going to make his first defense of the FTW title, so I'm interested to see what they do with that. And then Andrade El Idolo, Whoosh, Butcher and the Blade, and Private Party were all backstage. And Andrade El Idolo talks about how he hasn't been very impressed with the performance of Private Party as of late. So Private Party says that they're going to redeem themselves by winning the AEW World Tag Team Championships next week on Rampage. So Swerve and Glory cut a promo, and Keith Lee talked about how this really doesn't benefit Private Party because when he first showed up on AEW, he destroyed them by himself. What do you think it's going to be like now that he has a tag team partner with him? And they said that their win-loss record doesn't necessarily earn them a tag title match, and they're not even ranked, but they said they're going to give them a tag title match anyways because they're good people. So, and they're fighting champions and stuff. So, again, it's AEW kind of spitting all over the rankings, but they've spat all over that and lit it on fire. So it's whatever. I mean, I think they should just not even talk about the rankings anymore. They should just abandon it altogether because it's clearly something that they've tried and hasn't been a success. But whatever. Then Parker Boudreaux squashed Sonny Kiss, and he looked really impressive here. This is the match that got him kind of officially signed with AEW. I like that the AEW didn't sign him right away. They had him kind of prove himself a little bit. And I think he's earned the right to be signed. And this obviously set the table for what was going to happen with Sonny Kiss later in the show. Then we had Orange Cassidy versus Ali Davao. Pretty much, I forgot to mention this, but on Dynamite, Ali Davao tried to offer Orange Cassidy a position in the Trust Busters, but he denied it. So it led to this match. This was a good match here, but again, the crowd was kind of dead for it. I really didn't think it hit that stratosphere and that next level that I thought they could have hit. But yeah, like I said, it just some of it I wonder if it was me. I was tired from my big weekend, so I was kind of just watching this, and I was still kind of tired and stuff because I did a lot this weekend. So, but eventually, Ali Davao tried to get Orange Cassidy to just lay down for him and let him pin him, but he didn't do that. So eventually, after they had a match for a while, Orange Cassidy won with the Orange Punch, and afterwards, they were laid out by the rest of the members of the Trustbusters, Slim J and Parker Boudreaux, and Orange Cassidy had a face-off with Parker Boudreaux, and Sonny Kiss came out and offered to help Orange Cassidy fight off the rest of the Trustbusters, but Sonny Kiss ended up turning his/hers back on Orange Cassidy, low-blowed him, and it allowed the Trustbusters to lay out the best friends. And yeah, this was big. I like this a lot. I'm interested to see what they do with this, at least. If they're gonna go somewhere with it, where now that Sonny Kiss is in the group, what if he/she's gonna get more TV time? So I'm really excited to see what they do with this. I'm gonna give this a chance. I hope this means better things for Sunny Kiss. Um, and yeah, it will be interesting. I'm wondering what Sunny Kiss's role in the Trustbusters is gonna be too. So I'm interested to see what they do with this. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. And that was Rampage. Not the best episode of Rampage. This might be like the worst episode I've ever seen in my life. It was really an average show. Even though there was some big things that happened, like Sonny Kiss turning heel and the Bryan Danielson Daniel Garcia interview, I just thought it was kind of a boring show. I'm not gonna sit here and say it was a bad show because they did do some things that I liked on it. But like I said, maybe some of it was me because I was kind of tired from the big weekend when I actually watched it. So that's basically my thoughts on AEW for the week. If I had to give AEW a grade, I'll give it like a B plus. I don't think it's A quality this week. It probably would have been had it Rampage been better. Because it's like a high B plus though. Like if it'd be like an 89 out of 100. But I think what ruined AEW for the week was we didn't get the strongest Dynamite this time, and we didn't get the strongest. We got like the worst episode of Rampage. I did like Elevation, and I did like Dark for the week, but maybe had I not traveled and stuff, maybe I would have liked Rampage and Dynamite a little bit more and stuff. But I thought this was not the best. This is probably like the worst grade I've given AEW, which is saying a lot since I started doing Spark. So that's kind of saying a lot right there. But yeah, now that I've kind of talked about that, let's talk about AEW for this week. Today's Monday, so I actually have a Elevation preview. This is going to be some big stuff. Well, actually, before I actually preview AEW, I guess there's some news that's come out about AEW last week that maybe I should talk about first. So apparently, the biggest news thing that's come out is how Tony Khan has been acting backstage as of late. How he's kind of acted like Vince McMahon a little bit when he was in charge of WWE, where he's kind of not been he's been kind of aggressive backstage and stuff. I really don't know what to say here, because this really isn't a good look for AEW. I'm gonna kind of give AEW the benefit of the doubt because this is kind of the first instance where we've heard Tony Khan act this way. I heard that he had to get the top executive to stay by promoting him pretty much because he was like close to quitting and stuff. I really don't know what to say. I'm not going to defend him because it's really not an excusable thing to act this way. The only thing I can really say is maybe the stress is really getting to Tony Khan with how everything's gone down because he's been working more recently with the Jacksonville Jaguars and football training camp starting up. He had to basically kind of book Forbidden Door and just really get the stress off of him that way because Forbidden Door hasn't been what, you know, he kind of had to staple and glue together and stuff. So that's that too. So I'm really not sure what to make out of his reaction backstage. The biggest advice I could probably give Tony Khan is just take some time off, maybe. Maybe not completely take some time off because I understand you like doing this, but before we get into like the big football season and stuff, maybe just take a couple of weeks off, go on a hike, go on a vacation or something, and really get the stress off of yourself because I don't want to be sitting here and say that this is Vince McMahon all over again. That's the last thing I want. The biggest thing that's probably really stressing out Tony Khan is now that Vince McMahon's retired and Triple H is taking over, he's probably worried now that like a lot of people are going to jump ship to WWE now that there's change in power and everything like that, and they can be used better. So I really don't know what to say, but I really hope this doesn't continue, because this next few months is going to be a real testing point to see how Tony Khan reacts to Triple H being in power now and stuff, because he's going to have to react big, and maybe that stress is getting to him. So I really don't know what to say, but I really hope that this doesn't spill the end for AEW. One, for this show, because then I can't do the show anymore. I'd probably would have to do retro perspectives of it and stuff. But I just really hope. But it's going to be really bad if AEW does go. I see people laughing about it online and stuff like that, but I really don't. You guys really have to understand that AEW being gone is a really bad thing for the professional wrestling industry. There's less places for people to work, for one reason, and it's gonna spell disaster for WWE, because no competition spills the end. But we'll see. Another thing I meant to talk about last week, but I want to talk about it this week since it's still relevant. Apparently, MJF has gone completely silent on social media and everything, and I say good. Again, I've talked about this when I did AEW Spark, the first episode. I don't want to see MJF come or hear anything from him. This is him playing a part of the storyline, if it still is a storyline, and I think it's going to make his return to AEW or wherever he goes that much more of a big deal. It's MJF understanding how to do storytelling. So I like it. It makes everything that's going on with AEW with MJF feel real, and I'm gonna be so happy when I see him again. Whether that's at All Out, whether that's at AEW at all, or whether that's at WWE, whether that's the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, whatever. I really just can't wait to see what happens with MJF when he does show up, wherever he does show up again. So I don't know. So this is a good thing for MJF. It's gonna make his reappearance in the professional wrestling industry just that much more of a big deal. So no issues for me. Now let's do some previews for AEW this week. I'm gonna start with Elevation because I actually have an Elevation to preview. So let's start with that. We have a full card announced, which is cool. So I'm just going to start off by previewing it. This is going to be episode 76. So let's start off by just previewing AEW Elevation. We have Travis Titan and Arik Cannon. They're going to be going up against Tony Nese and Josh Woods. That's obviously an easy victory for Tony Nese and Josh Woods. I expect them just to completely squash these guys and to continue to up their stock as a tag team. We have Saraya versus Serena Deeb. I think that's going to be an easy squash for Serena Deeb. We have Konosuke Takeshita versus Cesar Bononi. I think this is going to be the main event because this is the only match that's really announced with like two actual AEW talents on there and stuff that are like known. And I think this is going to be Konosuke Takeshita's last match because I read reports that he's done with his U.S. excursion and he's going back to Japan fairly soon. And I think this is going to be it for him for a while. I do think we'll see him again. I think either he'll show up in New Japan and maybe do really well there, or we'll see him, in AEW in like another year or so. But I like to see him in Impact. I don't, if he does come back too, and have an X Division match with like Trey Miguel or something like that. But I think Konosuke Takeshita's actually going to win. There's really no reason for Cesar Bononi to win. The only reason I could see him losing is if he wants to put somebody over before he goes back to Japan. But I think if he was going to lose, he would have like shown up on like AEW Dynamite or something like that. But Yeah, I think Cesaro Bononi's gonna. No, I think Kanosuke Takeshi's gonna win that match. Then we have Dark Order. They're gonna be having an 8-man tag against TUG Cooper, Drew System, Riley Jackson, and Adam Grace. That's going to be an easy Dark Order victory to build momentum going into the Trios tournament. And yeah, that's really it. I really don't have anything else to say about that. I think they're going to showcase themselves well as a team, too. We're going to have Julia Hart versus Free Range Kara. I don't know what makes her free range, but that's going to be an easy squash for Julia Hart. I am kind of disappointed that they've had Julia Hart join the House of Black and they haven't really done all that much with it. She's shown up with them a few times, but other than that, she's kind of just done the elevation thing. I want to see, maybe they're going to just do this for a while, and then, once she kind of gets this gimmick down and stuff, she'll have like a real feud because, yeah, it's just really weird. Like, again, they haven't really had Varsity Blondes confront her about it, which was kind of weird because she was with Varsity Blondes for like a year and nothing, so I don't know what's going on there. Then we have Heather Reckless. She's going to be facing the returning Penelope Ford. This is going to be Penelope Ford's first match back, I believe, since that like street fight they did where she teamed up with. Who'd she team up with? It wasn't Julia Hart. Oh, the Bunny, to face Ty J. So I'm kind of excited to see her be back. I don't really know what she's going to do now that she is back, but not the way I would have thought she would have returned. She's not like a big name or anything, but I thought she would have shown up, maybe have like a future title match with somebody or something like that. Maybe have like a feud with somebody, because she's not like a big name, but she's been gone long enough where I think an elevation return is not necessarily the best way to bring her back. But whatever, that's gonna be what happens. As for who I think will win this match, it's probably going to be an easy Penelope Ford victory. It's a return match that's not very often that a wrestler loses their return match, so I think Penelope Ford will win that. And then finishing off Elevation, we have the Acclaim versus Justin Fowley and JT Energy. That's going to be an easy Acclaimed squash match. We have Hikaru Shida and Thunderstorm versus Emi Sakura, Marina Shafir, and Nyla Rose. This actually might be the main event because that's got the most AEW talent in the match, and I think it's going to be the biggest match on the show. That's an easy victory for Shida and Thunderstorm because I don't really see Thunderstorm, especially Thunder Rosa, taking a loss here. If they were going to lose, Shida would probably take the fall since Tony Storm has a match coming up on AEW and stuff, and Thunder Rosa, I don't think they would have to take a loss since she just took a loss recently. As for who takes the pin, I think it's probably going to be Emi Sakura because she's the one that they're not doing as much with on AEW, which it should be the opposite. It should be Marina Shafir taking a loss, but that's just me. This match could be good if Marina Shafir's in-ring time's limited, but we'll see. And then the last match they have announced is JC and JDX versus Private Party. That's probably going to be an easy Private Party victory, especially since they have the match coming up on Rampage this week. With them versus Swerve and Glory, so this is probably a way for them to build momentum going into that match. And that's everything for AEW Elevation. They have nothing announced for Dark right now. I really don't know what they would do for Dark because they haven't done any feuds or anything like that. So nothing really is announced right now. So I'm not really sure. So, but we'll see. Going through AEW's TV show broadcasts for this week, though. Pretty big week, actually, because we have the kickoff of the Trios tournament, and we have some big title matches coming up for this week. This is actually a pretty big news for AEW, but this week it's sponsored by Game of Thrones House of the Dragon, because that's premiering, I think, at some point this week. I'm really not sure when, because I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I do plan to do that someday, just not right now. I got too much going on right now. But yeah, this is a pretty big thing for AEW to get sponsored by, though, because Game of Thrones is a pretty big show that's really popular and stuff, so that's really cool. I kind of want to see somebody come out dressed like a dragon or something, or them to do something that's like medieval on AEW this week. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, going over AEW, I'm gonna do some bracketology at the end too for the trios tournament. So let's start off. Let's start because the first match announces the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament quarterfinals match. It's going to be the Young Bucks and a mystery partner versus Andrade Ali Davao, Roosh, and Dragon Lee. I like that this is the first match to kick off the tournament because it's probably the biggest match that's going to happen. And I'm really not sure who could be the Young Bucks partner. They've definitely put the kibosh onto Heyman Adam Page being the partner now. So that's interesting. And there's only really like 3 people that could be the Young Bucks' tag team partner. It could either be Brandon Cutler, which would be the lamest mystery partner, but it could be him. But I don't think it is going to be him. They're teasing like it could be, but I don't think it will be. They could do Dustin Rhodes because they did like a thing on social media where they showed pictures of them together and stuff. And that would be really cool if they did that because they've teamed up before in the past, so that would be cool. I don't think it will be Dustin Rhodes, though. I think that would be kind of a little bit of a disappointment. They could do Kanosuke Takeshita, and that would be kind of cool because... he's been making a really big name for himself in AEW and in the US, and this would be a really cool goodbye for him in the, in his US excursion. So that would be cool if they did Kanosuke Takeshita. If I had to make a guess of who I think it will be, I think it's going to be the return of Kenny Omega, though. They... Typically, when they do a mystery partner, it should actually be a surprise. It should be someone that's exciting, and I think the most exciting option is Kenny Omega. The only reason I don't want it to be him is if he's not fully ready to come back to the ring. I'd rather see him not hurt himself, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I think it's going to be Kenny Omega, and I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are going to reunite, and they're going to... win this match. I don't know if they'll win the tournament. I'll talk more about that later. But I think they'll win this match, and I think Dragon Lee's there to take the pinfall because he's really not like an AEW signed talent. He's more of an ROH signed talent, so it wouldn't really hurt him all that much. So I think it's going to be the Elite with the returning Kenny Omega winning this match. And I'm going to be so happy when he does come back because we haven't seen Kenny Omega in almost a year, so I'm really excited to see what happens there. Then we have Kylan Kin versus Toni Storm. This is Kylan Kin's first match since like last year, so I'm really excited to see what they do with her, and how her and Toni Storm wrestled at this match. Kylan Kin's been making a name for herself though in the Indies. I think she just recently challenged Camille for the NWA Women's World Championship, so I'm interested to see what they do with her. I think this is an easy victory for Toni Storm. I think Kylan Kin will have a really good performance, but I think Toni Storm's going to win and continue to go up the rankings for the AEW Women's World Championship. This could be the moment that Toni Storm turns heel and turns on Thunder Rosa, which I think would be an interesting feud. Or maybe they could set up some type of Fatal 4-Way match with, DMD, Dr. Britt Baker, and... Jamie Hayter at All Out. They could do something like that, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I think this is going to be an easy victory for Toni Storm. Then we have the Gun Club versus the Varsity Blondes. This is an easy victory for the Gun Club. I think this is going to be a way for them to prove themselves to Billy that they're still a formidable tag team. Yeah, I think they're going to win, and they could turn on Billy and join up with Stokely Hathaway, but really not sure if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's going to be an easy Gun Club victory. Then Death Triangle scheduled to return. This is the first time we're going to see Pac in America since he's won the All-Atlantic Championship at Forbidden Door. I'm really not sure what they're going to do because I remember when I did a prediction about this before, FTR returned, but they didn't have a match. So I don't know if they're gonna just do a squash match with Death Triangle to build them up to face Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, for whenever they do that match. I think that's not this week, but next week. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I think they're either gonna return, cut some type of promo, and maybe we'll see some type of face-off with Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, where they get into a brawl with them or something like that. So that would be cool. Then we have the main event of what's probably going to be AEW Dynamite, House of the Dragon, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson versus the Dragon Slayer, Daniel Garcia, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. The only reason I don't see this main event in is if they think that Kenny Omega returning will be a bigger deal. And maybe they want to have the kickoff of the Trios tournament be the main event. But I think this should main event. I think it's a better choice. As for who wins, it's really tough to call. Because Bryan Danielson needs a big victory. Since he kind of lost his first match back and he hasn't won a match. I don't think he's won a match in a while, actually. Because he took the loss at Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing. Then he got injured. He lost to Daniel Garcia in his return match. So I don't think Bryan did. And he also lost to Jon Moxley at Revolution. And he lost the world title match to Heyman Adam Page. But then you wonder, does it really matter if Bryan Danielson loses because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world? His career is probably not going to go on much longer. Would it really hurt him all that much? But because Daniel Garcia, it'd be huge for him to win this match because it shows that they really, because everyone kind of crapped on the fact that he beat Bryan Danielson out of nowhere, and they're wondering if they're actually going to do something with it. And this is a chance for them to really do something with it. But I think Bryan Danielson is going to win, though. I think Daniel Garcia is going to have all the fight in the world. I think they're going to do something, too, where he gets, like, the first fall. And Bryan Danielson will have to, like, really fight underneath to get a victory. And I think Daniel Garcia will come out looking strong enough in defeat where it won't hurt him too much by losing. I think that's going to be what happens. And I hope that's what happens. But yeah, we'll see. I'm really excited to see this match. It was a hell of a match when I saw it live. So I'm really excited to see what happens. And yeah, that's Dynamite. House of the Dragon. Again, I want to see someone come out dressed like a dragon. Maybe they'll do something where Bryan Danielson will come out dressed like, not complete dragon, but like he'll have some type of like fin on his attire or something where he's a dragon, and maybe we'll see Daniel Garcia come out like a slayer, some type of slayer. Maybe not a sword because it's already being done in WWE, but maybe he'll come out like a dragon slayer. And yeah, I just really want to see someone come out dressed like a dragon on that show, whether it's there or on Rampage, but we'll see. Then we have a pretty big episode of Rampage, House of the Dragon. Pretty big episode there. We have 2 championship matches and another match in the Trios World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Starting off, we have the World Tag Team Championship match. It's Swerve and Our Glory defending against Private Party. I think this is going to be an easy title defense for Swerve and Our Glory. It's the first title defense. There's really no reason for them to lose. I think Private Party will have a really good showing. And I think at the end we'll have a setup for Swerve and Our Glory's next challenges for the tag titles. I'm not sure who that could be. I could see it being Andrade, El Idolo, and Roosh, which I think would be a good option since they just beat the Lucha Bros in the Tornado tag match. That would make sense to kind of go that way. Because they could do FTR, but I'm wondering if they really, I don't really think they need to go there yet. I would like to see Swerve and Our Glory get some title defenses under the belt and then maybe go that direction, so we'll see. They could do Red Dragon if Kyle O'Reilly's ready to compete then, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I think if Kyle O'Reilly was medically cleared, they would have put Red Dragon somehow in that trios tournament, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we have for the FTW Championship, it's going to be Hook defending against Zach Clayton. I think this is going to be a squash title defense for Hook. He's going to just easily dispose of Zach Clayton. And I actually think, maybe not here, but at some point, Tony Nese is going to be a challenger for Hook, since they've had a history before from the days from Double or Nothing, stuff like that. I think Hook will retain the championship, and at some point, maybe not after this title defense, but I think Tony Nese is going to at some point challenge Hook for the FTW championship. I like to see Danhausen do it. I think that'd be entertaining, but we'll have to wait and see. Then the main event probably is going to be for in the trios tournament. It's going to be Best Friends versus the Trustbusters, and this is really a tough one to pick because Best Friends, I think, really need to go far in this tournament because they've been in AEW since the beginning together, and I think it wouldn't make much sense if they didn't go far in this tournament. But you also have the Trustbusters, who's a really new stable, and they just did the whole thing with Sonny Kiss turn heel. You need to validate that heel turn. So it would really kind of not really be much of a benefit for the Trustbusters to not win. You also just had Orange Cassidy beat Ali Davao in a match, so that would really kind of hurt the Trustbusters if they didn't win. I do kind of wonder now if they maybe should have waited on the Sonny Kiss heel turn and had Sonny Kiss turn heel in this match instead. That way you could have really validated the Trustbusters winning, because that way Sonny Kiss's heel turn would have had a little bit more impact. No pun intended. But I'm going to just say the Best Friends will win. I just think there's more benefit to them advancing in the tournament than the Trustbusters. I think they'll get better matches in the tournament with the Best Friends in it. So I think Best Friends are going to win this. And before I leave here, I know this is a bit of a longer episode, I'm going to do some bracketology for the Trios tournament. So let's start off by doing that. I'm probably going to be making some more predictions. Let's see how much far my bracket goes. So the first match here is Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. I think that's going to be a victory for Death Triangle. They are more of a unified faction. I know I haven't really seen a lot of Will Ospreay and Aussie Open have matches together, but I think Death Triangle are more of a unified unit, and I think they're on more of a roll, so I think it's to a benefit to have Death Triangle win. And then, like I said, we have Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Roos versus the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner. Even though it would probably make more sense for Andrade El Idolo, Roos, and Dragon Lee to win, since, they'd be able to face Death Triangle when they're kind of doing that. It would kind of add to that feud. I think it's going to be the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner if it's Kenny Omega, or no matter who it is. And they're going to win, and we'll get Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner. If it is Kenny Omega versus Death Triangle, I think that will be a better match anyways. Then at some point, we're going to get House of Black versus Dark Order. This is really a tough one for me to pick because it really could go either way. You have House of Black, who's been pushed really strong. But now you have the element where Hangman Adam Page is going to be in the corner of the Dark Order. You could do some really good storytelling elements with him in their corner, and then maybe in the future, Dark Order advancing and facing the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner in the finals and adding to that elite feud that they've been doing for so long. So it would be really kind of interesting to see what happens. But if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to predict that Dark Order wins. I also think Miro, Sting, or Darby Allin's going to play a factor in Dark Order winning. I wouldn't complain, I guess, if the House of Black won, but I really don't think they need. House of Black aren't really a team that really need to be going after championships. I think they're kind of like a unique act where they can just kind of be like a special attraction, like The Undertaker or The Fiend should have been. So I think they're kind of like that kind of group where they really don't need to really care about championships. So that's my prediction there. Then we have the Trustbusters versus Best Friends. Like I said, it could go either way, but I'm picking Best Friends just because they've been together long enough to go far enough in the tournament. So, because of what I predicted for my bracket, I predicted that it would be Death Triangle going against um, the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner. I think like I said, if it's still Kenny Omega, like I think it is, I think it's going to be the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner going on to the finals. I think there's a lot of storyline elements there, and I think it'd be kind of something cool that happens. And as for the next one, I predicted it'd be Dark Order versus Best Friends. That's probably I'm actually going to predict that Dark Order wins. That and so that way in the finals to really make it like a nice storyline. We're gonna get Dark Order versus the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner if it is Kenny Omega, and that's a tough one to pick because you could go a long way with either or. You know, you could just have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega win, and Heyman Adam Page. You know, even though he's back, the Dark Order, they have the Super Elite come out and attack Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and Heyman Adam Page saves them, and they reform the Elite. Even though you would have an odd member out for the Super Elite, but depending on what happens with Roderick Strong, if he can leave and come back by All Out, but I don't think he'd be even around, so that you can't really do that. Or you could have Adam Cole and the Super Elite cost Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks the match, and help Dark Order win. But obviously Dark Order wouldn't really know about it, and you could still do the attack angle, and Heyman Adam Page saves them, and But I do wonder though if you have the Dark Order win, if you'd be taking the shine off of them. I guess maybe you could have them celebrate, and then the Super Elite attack, and then you do that storyline. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But if I had to say, if you had a gun to my head right now, and I had to pick between Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner and the Dark Order, I would probably say the Young Bucks and the actually, I know, good thing I didn't have a gun to my head because I would be dead right now. I'm actually going to predict Dark Order. The thing, I've been wanting Dark Order to be used a lot lately. And I think the Dark Order, are the longest tenured faction, I think, in AEW. It's probably them or Best Friends. And I think it's Best Friends by, like, this much. But the Dark Order, have done a lot in AEW. And I think, you really need to keep them. They've been kind of not really showcased that well. And I think if you held the trio, gave them the Trios Championships, they'd give them something to do. Because the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner, no matter who the Mystery Partner is, the Young Bucks are guaranteed a spot in AEW. And they have that feud with the Super Elite ready to go. And I know they probably want to do the Young Bucks and whoever the Mystery Partner is versus the Super Elite, probably for the Trios titles. And you could still go that way. You could have the Dark Order win, have like a couple months. They don't even have to have a long title reign. They can have a couple months with the championships, and then maybe like maybe at Full Gear, or right before Full Gear, you have the Super Elite get the belts, and you do the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, if he still does end up coming back, or the Young Bucks and Heyman Adam Page versus the Super Elite for the belts. Like you could still find a way to have that match for the Trios Championships without having the Young Bucks and the Mystery Partner win. So that's my prediction. I predict that Dark Order is going to win the whole tournament. If you're probably asking which members of Dark Order will be in the tournament, I imagine it's going to be Ten, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, since they kind of seem to be the more formidable team in there. I think Evil Uno is going to be more the manager of the Dark Order now. He'll have a match on occasion, like on an elevation or something like that. But yeah, and if you're probably wondering what members of the Trustbusters, it's probably going to be Ali Davao, Parker Boudreaux, and Slim J. Will probably be the members of the team that go in there. So yeah, I'm interested to see this trios tournament. I love tournaments, so I think it will be something interesting. And yeah, we're getting like several tournaments now. I believe we have the women's tag tournament going on WWE right now. We have the trios tournament going on. I guess the G1 Climax is still kind of going on if you like that tournament. And I think those are all the tournaments I know of right now. I'm pretty sure I heard they did a New Japan Strong tag tournament. I don't know if that's still going on, but that's a thing. So they have a lot of tournaments going on right now in wrestling. So if you love tournaments, this is definitely the time to be watching wrestling. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, for AEW Spark. I know I said there wasn't a lot that went on this week, but I still got almost an hour and 40 minutes out of everything. I kind of expected that, I guess, because you did have some, some shows that went down and stuff. But yeah, interesting how that happened. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. If you want to check out other content on this channel, I have a lot of retros up right now for SummerSlams because it was SummerSlam month. We did SummerSlam 1992, SummerSlam 2002, and SummerSlam 2012. Kind of like a 10-year thing next year to kind of cap that off. We're going to do SummerSlam 2022. But this week, you're going to get a lot of retro content. You're going to get SummerSlam 2003 on Wednesday. Well, we're recording it Wednesday. I don't know when you'll actually see it. And you're going to get, to kind of celebrate the NXT UK, the WWE Clash at the Castle pay-per-view, we're going to do No Mercy UK, Chris Dodd and I, whether that's in person together or over Discord or something. And then yeah, we're gonna get some other retros. I have some planned, so I'm really excited about that. We're gonna do the wrestling rundown at some point too this week. We're either gonna do it this week or next week because we haven't done a rundown in a while, and I think we need to do one. So I plan on having a lot of people on for that, so I hope you guys check that out. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.